For 3 videos now, I have promised you this one, and here it is. The real, no-nonsense answer to the question every bagger buyer asks, and almost nobody answers honestly. Over 5 years of ownership, which of these 3 actually costs you the least? A Harley, an Indian, or a Honda Goldwing? And I do not mean the price on the window sticker. The sticker is the smallest lie in this whole business. The true cost of a motorcycle is not what you pay for it. It is what it costs you to own it, feed it, fix it, and finally sell it. 5 years and 30,000 miles down the road. I am a mechanic with 22 years under the hood, and I have watched all 3 of these machines come across my lift. And I have watched grown men go pale at the trading counter over a number nobody warned them about. So today we are going to do something the dealers will never do for you. We are going to run the true cost of all 3, category by category, like a fair fight: purchase, depreciation, maintenance, and the hidden reliability tax. And we are going to declare an honest winner in each round, and then we are going to add it all up. I will tell you now, the final answer surprised even me, and it is going to make one group of brand loyalists in this audience genuinely uncomfortable. A quick honest note before we start: your exact numbers will depend on where you live, how you ride, and whether you turn your own wrenches. So I am going to deal in real, verified figures and honest ranges, not fairy tale precision. Let us get into it. Before the first round, you need to know where the money actually goes, because most riders obsess over the one cost that matters least and ignore the one that matters most. Over 5 years, a bagger costs you in 5 ways. 1. The purchase, the out-the-door price, not the advertised base. 2. And this is the giant nobody talks about, depreciation, the value that quietly bleeds out of the machine while it sits in your garage. 3. Maintenance and scheduled service. 4. The hidden costs, tires, options, the dealer's labor rate. And 5. The reliability tax, what it costs you when something breaks far from home, and how easy it is to get it fixed. Here is the part that will reframe this whole video. For most riders, depreciation is the single largest cost of owning a motorcycle. Bigger than fuel, bigger than insurance, often bigger than every oil change combined. The money you lose between buying and selling dwarfs almost everything else. And yet it is the one cost the salesman never mentions, and the buyer never calculates. So as we go through these rounds, watch which machine protects your money where it matters, and which one quietly hands it back. Round 1. The purchase. On paper, the Harley looks like the value play, and that is exactly the trap. A Harley-Davidson Street Glide starts around $25,999, and a Road Glide around $27,999. Sounds competitive, but you and I both know almost nobody rides off on the base bike. Harley has turned the options counter into an art form. The paint, the audio, the chrome, the comfort seat, the security, and it is genuinely easy to add $10,000, even $15,000 before you are out the door. That friendly base price can quietly become $40,000. The Indian Challenger Dark Horse comes in higher on the sticker, around $30,000 to $32,000. But here is what the sticker does not show. It arrives with far more as standard. Ride modes, the big touch screen, the safety electronics, the adjustable windscreen, heated everything. The things Harley makes you buy a la carte, Indian largely includes. So the gap at the register is smaller than the base prices suggest, sometimes reversed. And the Honda Goldwing Tour starts around $29,500, or $1,000 more for the automatic. But the Goldwing has the cleanest story of the 3. It arrives complete. There is essentially no options counter, wireless smartphone integration, the full color screen, heated grips and seats, the luggage, the electronics. It is all standard. The price you see is very close to the price you pay. So who wins round 1? On the honest out-the-door number, the bike built the way you would actually ride it. The Goldwing and the Indian tend to beat the Harley, because the Harley's real price is hiding in the accessories catalog. Round 1 goes to Honda, with Indian a close second. Write that down, because it is about to get turned completely upside down. Let me make that concrete, because I have written these deals up. 2 riders walk in on the same afternoon. The first wants a Road Glide the way the brochure shows it. The paint, the audio upgrade, the seat, a little chrome, and by the time he signs, freight and setup and options have pushed a $28,000 bike to $36,000, $37,000, sometimes closer to $40,000. The second rider takes a Goldwing Tour off the floor, adds nothing, and rides home at right around $30,000. Same money in the driveway, roughly, but on paper the Harley man thinks he bought the cheaper motorcycle because he anchored to that friendly base number. He did not. He just paid the difference, one reasonable little add-on at a time. Remember both of those riders, because in round 2, 5 years from now, they are going to meet again at the trade-in counter, and the story completely reverses. Round 2, the big one. The cost that will decide this entire contest, and the one the showroom will never ever put in writing for you. Depreciation. What the machine is worth the day you go to sell it. And here, everything you just heard in round 1 gets flipped on its head. A Harley holds roughly 84% of its value over 5 years. That is not a typo, and it is the best resale of any cruiser or touring brand in America. Full stop. There is nothing else close. The reasons are real. The demand for used Harleys never dies. The brand loyalty is unmatched, and the parts and network keep old bikes on the road and desirable. So that Harley you overpaid for at the options counter, 5 years later it hands most of that money back at trade-in. It is the closest thing to a savings account with handlebars in this whole segment. The Indian holds its value respectably, but not like the Harley. Figures somewhere around 77% over 5 years, and noticeably softer than that in the first 3, where some models sit closer to 60%. It is a wonderful machine, but the used market simply does not chase it the way it chases the bar and shield, and that gap shows up as real dollars gone at trade-in. And the Goldwing? Here is the one that stuns people, because everyone assumes Honda equals bulletproof resale. It does not on this bike. The Goldwing is a luxury flagship, and it depreciates like one. Look at the real market. A 5-year-old Goldwing Tour that stickered around $30,500 new is reselling in the neighborhood of $21,000 today. That is a machine that has quietly shed $9,000 or $10,000 while its owner did nothing but change the oil. It is the most reliable bike here by a mile, and it gives back the most value. Round 2 is not close. It goes to Harley, decisively, and depreciation is the biggest number on the whole scorecard. So hold that thought. Now watch what that does to our 2 riders from round 1. The Harley man who overpaid at 37,000 walks up to the trade counter 5 years later. And because Harleys hold around 84%, he is handed a number that still starts with a 3 or a high 2. He lost far less than he feared. The Goldwing man who felt so smart buying complete at 30 is handed 21. He lost $9,000 in value he never saw leave, because it does not leave in a bill you pay. It leaves in a check you do not receive. That is why I keep hammering this. Depreciation is a silent cost. It is usually the biggest cost, and it is the one the showroom is built to keep you from ever calculating. The man who ignores it can do everything else right and still lose the most money of anyone. Round 3, maintenance. And this is where I get to correct a myth I hear in my shop every single week, that the Harley is the high maintenance money pit, and the Honda is the cheap, easy one. On scheduled service, the truth is very nearly the opposite, and I can show you exactly why. Start with the Harley. The Milwaukee 8 touring engine gets a service roughly every 5,000 miles, an oil change and the 3-fluid routine. And here is the key fact most people do not know. It has self-adjusting hydraulic lifters, which means it never needs a valve adjustment, ever. Spark plugs go 30,000 miles. The belt final drive runs 80,000 plus with basically no attention, and the whole bike is built to be worked on. That 3-fluid service runs you $60 to $100 in your own garage, maybe $250 to $350 at the dealer. It is one of the simplest big machines to own there is. Now here is what surprises everyone. The Indian is just as easy. Both the air-cooled Thunderstroke in the Chieftain and Roadmaster, and even the liquid-cooled Power Plus in the Challenger use hydraulic self-adjusting lifters too, so the Indian also never needs a valve adjustment, services on a similar 5,000-mile rhythm, and runs a belt drive. On routine maintenance, Harley and Indian are neck and neck, and both are refreshingly simple. And then the Goldwing, the bike everyone assumes is the cheap one to keep. Its oil interval is actually longer, at 8,000 miles, which sounds like a win. But the Goldwing has real valves to check. A full valve clearance service around 24,000 miles that lives behind a lot of bodywork, takes the better part of a day, and routinely runs $800 at the dealer. It has coolant to flush, shaft drive fluid to change, a clutch filter on the automatic, and it goes through tires faster. Many owners get around 10,000 miles a set versus 15 on a Harley. None of it is hard exactly, but it is time consuming. It is harder to do yourself, and here is the quiet problem. Because Goldwings so rarely break, genuinely experienced Goldwing techs are scarce. So round 3 is the upset of the video. On scheduled maintenance, Harley and Indian actually cost you less, and are far friendlier to the home mechanic than the Honda. I score it a tie between Harley and Indian, with the Goldwing in third. Put rough annual numbers on it. For a rider doing 5,000 miles a year and using a dealer, a Harley or an Indian owner is looking at something in the low hundreds most years. An oil and fluid service, and the usual wear items with no valve labor ever, and a man who wrenches at home cuts even that in half. The Goldwing owner is fine in the light years too, but every time that 24,000-mile valve and fluid service comes round, he writes a check north of $800 for the labor alone, plus he is buying tires more often. Over 5 years and 30,000 miles, it is not a fortune either way, but it tilts clearly toward the American twins, which is the exact opposite of what most buyers walk in believing. The lesson: Japanese does not automatically mean cheaper to maintain on a premium touring machine. Sometimes the simple air-cooled V-twin you can service on your own kickstand is the frugal one. Round 4. And this is where the Goldwing finally gets to punch back hard, because there is a cost that does not show up on any service schedule. The cost of the thing you did not plan for. The breakdown, the failure, the tow truck 300 miles from home. And on that measure, the Goldwing is in a class of its own. This is the machine that runs 250,000 miles and past 400,000 with care and simply does not leave you stranded. The scheduled maintenance may be more involved, but the unscheduled repairs, the expensive surprises are rarer on the Goldwing than on almost anything else with 2 wheels. Over a long enough ownership, that reliability is worth real money you never have to spend. But reliability is only half of this round. The other half is the network. What happens when you do need help? And here the Harley answers back. Because Harley runs the largest dealer and service network in America, with the deepest aftermarket on earth. Breakdown in a small town, on a Harley, and someone nearby can almost certainly fix it, and has the part on the shelf. The Goldwing is superbly reliable, but its dealer support is thinner, and its specialists are fewer, and the Indian sits in the toughest spot of the 3 here. Its network is a fraction of Harley's, and owners in smaller markets report longer waits for specialty parts, which is a real cost when your riding season is short. So round 4 splits, the Goldwing wins outright on raw reliability. It is the least likely to ever cost you a surprise, while the Harley wins on the safety net of being fixable anywhere. The Indian, for all its engineering, comes third on this one. So let us add it all up honestly, the way I would if you were standing in my shop trying to decide. Round 1, the purchase, went to Honda and Indian. They give you more for your out-the-door dollar than a fully built Harley. Round 3, scheduled maintenance, went to Harley and Indian. Simpler, cheaper, wrench at home. Round 4 split, Honda for reliability, Harley for the network. But round 2, depreciation, the single largest cost of the entire 5 years, went to the Harley, and it went to the Harley by a landslide. And that is the uncomfortable truth this whole video was built to tell you. When you total the real 5-year cost of ownership, not the sticker, but the sticker plus the service minus what you get back at the end, the Harley, the bike everyone in the comments loves to call the overpriced money pit, very often comes out as the least expensive of the 3 to own. Not because it is cheap to buy, because it barely loses value, and it is cheap and simple to maintain. Meanwhile, the Honda Goldwing, the machine everyone assumes is the smart, frugal, reliable choice, can quietly end up the most expensive of the 3 over 5 years, because it sheds $9,000 or $10,000 in depreciation while you own it. The most reliable bike here is not the cheapest to own, let that sink in. But, and this is the honest nuance that separates a real answer from a clickbait one, it all flips on one question: how long are you going to keep it? If you trade every 3 to 5 years, the Harley's resale makes it the smart money, plain and simple. But if you are the kind of rider who buys once and keeps it for 15 or 20 years and rides it into the ground, depreciation stops mattering. You are never selling it. And the Goldwing's 200,000-mile reliability makes it the cheapest of all, because it outlives everything. And the Indian? It is the machine you buy because you love how it rides, and you have made peace with the resale. The heart purchase, eyes open, there is your true answer. Not a brand, a question about you. So now I want the real numbers from the people who actually live this. If you own one of these 3 baggers, tell me in the comments what it has truly cost you. Not the sticker, the real story. What did you pay? What does it cost to keep? And if you sold one, what did you get back? Because 100 honest answers from riders like you is worth more than anything a dealer or a spec sheet will ever tell the man deciding right now. And be honest about the depreciation. That is the number that teaches the most. This channel exists to give you the truth the showroom will not. No hype, no sales pitch, just 22 years of watching what these machines really cost the men who ride them. If that is worth something to you, subscribe and ride with us. Keep the rubber side down, and check your resale before you ever fall in love. I will see you in the next one.